Welcome, fellow humans. Today I'm going to talk about amusia, both issues with pitch perception and also beat deafness. Amusia is a lack of perception of aspects of music, and there are multiple different aspects that can be affected that would all be considered amusia. I am going to talk about my own amusia, but I also am going to talk a fair bit about my mother's because I clearly inherited my amusia from her, and mine appears to be a lesser version of what she had. So, one aspect of being able to hear, enjoy, and make music is pitch perception. And I think that's what most people tend to think about when they think about being good or bad at music and singing and things like that. And I don't know exactly how good or bad my pitch perception is, but I think my brain isn't purely focusing on the right things when it's trying to perceive pitch. Because when I've tried to sing to something or understand if it sounds right or wrong, for me, I always hear the entire sound. And if I'm trying to sing correctly, I'm trying to match the entire sound. And that's always impossible. If it's another person singing, then it's at least closer to possible because it's a human voice, but it's never going to sound like my voice. And I don't know how to focus on just the part of the sound that I'm supposed to be matching. And of course, if it's an instrument, then it's completely impossible. I don't know how I'm supposed to sound like that at all. Human beings just don't. So I can't make those sounds, and so I don't know what sound I'm supposed to be making. I understand intellectually the idea about pitch, and I can hear different pitches, but when I'm actually listening to something, there's just so much to the sound at once, I don't know how to detach the pitch part to focus on that or try to match it. But my mother's issue with pitch was clearly much more extreme. I don't think she could hear it at all because when I tested her by sitting down at a piano and playing two sounds, and sometimes I'd play the same note twice, and sometimes I'd play two different notes, and I would just ask her, was that the same or were they different? And she could not reliably answer that until the notes were at least 4 notes apart on the piano. And that's pretty big. Most people are going to be able to tell same or different to a much better degree than that. And so I can only imagine that most music sounded very limited and similar and just like noise to her. I also tested her by playing chords versus what people would generally think of as just clashing notes. And she had absolutely no ability to tell whether it was a chord or just 3 random notes on the piano. And that also has to severely impair your ability to hear and enjoy music. I did ask her if she enjoyed listening to music, and she said, no, not really. There were some songs she kind of liked. She didn't generally put music on, though. I don't recall ever hearing her just singing for the fun of it. And I think that music was just something that she didn't see any reason to have as a part of her life, except for social implications. Like she would sing along as part of the holidays or for religious reasons, but she didn't enjoy music just because it was music. And it makes perfect sense because I don't think she could hear what music was. But the one thing I found really weird was she did say she was good at recognizing people by their voices. And that feels like it should involve pitch perception, but I don't know if maybe she was able to pick up on something else about human voices, or if her brain was able to process human voices and identities specially in some way that didn't apply when she listened to music. I don't think I will ever understand that little anomaly where she was good at recognizing voices but had so little pitch perception. Then, of course, as I mentioned before, an aspect of enjoying music is beat, or at least so people tell me. And I believe them because there's a whole lot of evidence that this is a real thing that wasn't just made up to prank me. It's too big to be a conspiracy of lies. Beat has to be a real part of music to other people, but it's not in the music. The beat doesn't actually exist. I mean, it kind of does. It's an emergent property. It's something that your brain extrapolates from the music. It's an interpretation of the music. It's not there. And my brain just doesn't do that. And apparently, it's a really big thing to other people. And I kind of wish I could have that perception for a day to see what I'm missing out on. It feels a little bit like being colorblind and just not knowing about the colors I can't see. But I also kind of like that I get to have the perception of what it's like to not understand beat. It's just I want both, and I can't have both. Nobody can truly have both. But for me, I just hear the sounds that are happening, and I don't interpret them into this extra thing of the song having this beat. Some songs have notes very much on the beat, and then I hear that and I can, nod along to it. It's like because the music is happening there. But people who understand music tell me that the beat is still there even if there's no note on the beat. And there's nothing there, but apparently there's still the beat. This probably is weird for other people because you probably have beat perception. So you're probably thinking, of course, there's this thing. I assume that's how other people feel about it. But for me, I just hear what's actually there. My brain isn't adding these extra layers to it. And that means that I don't enjoy music in some of the ways that other people do, but I can enjoy music in some of the ways that other people can't. So having things go to the beat is apparently a really big thing for people who hear the beat. Like, this is a big thing when you're dancing. You're supposed to be dancing with the music. And it took me a long time to learn this because I thought people were just enjoying music while they dance. And I kind of understood that the music helped with the timing, but there wasn't this emotional connection between the music and the dancing or anything like that. There seems to be a more powerful connection that other people feel. And it's hard for me to describe because I don't have it and I'm just guessing at it. And you probably know what it is, so I don't need to describe it, unless you also happen to be beat deaf. But I can enjoy things that other people can't. Like when I was younger and in a bit better health, I decided to play some Dance Dance Revolution, which is a game where you have music and there are a bunch of arrows that tell you how you dance to the music, and you try to pass the song by dancing at the correct time and the correct way to the music. And I quickly figured out that I had to ignore the music. If I tried to pay attention to the music, my score would always go down. I wouldn't necessarily pass the song. I had to just focus on the arrows. But then I figured out that I did like having music while I was playing DDR, and I didn't really care for the songs that were in the game anyway, and so the best thing I could do was turn off the game music and put on music that I liked, preferably high energy music. And so I would play DDR while listening to unrelated music. And this was great, and my scores went up. And it was really weird for other people, apparently. Apparently, watching one beat of the dancing with a completely different beat of the music is weird for people whose brains do have beat perception. It wasn't a problem for me at all. I did better that way. I had more fun that way. And it was also kind of fun watching other people be surprised. I also have done other things that are apparently disturbing to people who have beat perception. When I was very young and trying to play piano, I didn't have any lessons and I was just trying to teach myself, and I was purely playing for my own enjoyment. I wasn't trying to play for anybody else to enjoy it. I would often play when no one else was listening. So one of the things I would often do is I would just skip rests because they're boring. I'd do a rest where it belonged if I felt like it, and I wouldn't if I didn't, because it didn't make any real difference to me whether or not the rest was there. And apparently that's a thing that throws off the beat and is thus really weird for other people. But it's just getting to the part of the song that I want to get to. It's just skipping ahead a little bit. It's not a big deal to me. And apparently it can be a big deal to other people. And so I've come to recognize that my brain does music very differently than other people's brains do music. And I find it interesting, at least. And while I wish that I were better at music, I wish that I could sing well enough that I could sing with other people, that I could let other people listen to me sing and not feel like I am torturing them. I am truly and legitimately extremely bad at singing. And I know that part of that is a pitch thing, but I have no way of knowing what I'm supposed to sound like in order to get anywhere near there. I have at times improved on my singing by having direct, clear feedback. Games like Rock Band and Guitar Hero that told me if I was too high or too low would allow me to learn how to better match what the pitch was supposed to sound like. But as soon as that feedback is gone, I still have no way to do it. I'm completely unable to get to the right pitch without that feedback every time I am singing. I don't improve just from getting that feedback while I'm playing and then be able to carry that into singing without it. So I would like to have better musical ability, but I'm really, really grateful that I have enough musical ability and enough music perception that I actually enjoy music. Because as I said, my mother couldn't. And music is a beautiful thing. It's something I'm really glad that I have in my life. I know I don't get as much out of it as other people. I know that I'm more focused on the lyrics than other people are. It's extremely hard for me to really enjoy an instrumental. I need more than just the music for my brain to latch onto the music. But there is enough there that I can see the beauty in music and I can appreciate that, even if I'm not appreciating it for everything that it has to offer. And if you are able to appreciate and enjoy music, I think you should do that because it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful part of being human. If you can't hear music, either for hearing reasons or perception reasons, there are a lot of other things that life has to offer. There's a lot of other beauty in the world that humans can create and that is just out there. So there's definitely more to life than just music. But if it's one of the things that you can enjoy, that's great, and I think you should. Anyway, that's my story, and if you liked it, please click like. If you know someone who might find it interesting, then please share it. If you'd like more similar content, then of course subscribe. But most of all, if you have any questions or thoughts or similar experiences, or if you have very different experiences that you think are interesting and relate in some way, I would love to read your comments. Thank you.